This is Caitlin, your host of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Welcome back to another episode of the No Sleep for Dramas, and it is the end of the month, so you know what that means. We are having a wrap-up episode, and this time we are wrapping up May of the year 2024. We have a fair number of things to talk about in this episode, which I'm quite surprised at, but a little PSA before we get into it. I went out yesterday and got a new laptop. So I've been fiddling around with microphone volumes and like recording volumes and making sure I sound okay. And to me, I think I sound pretty good. But I also doubt that. So just let me know if my microphone seems soft or you can't hear it very well. And in the comments on my Instagram or message me, or I'll maybe even ask this in Spotify podcast, but let me know how I sound because I want to make sure that I sound as crisp as I did on my old laptop, and I had to like set everything up again. So just let me know how I sound. If I sound too loud according to the volume levels, I think I'm okay, but just let me know how I sound. Okay, so back to what this episode's about. If you guys have never listened to a rap episode, the monthly rap episodes is where I discuss all of the dramas I watched in the previous month, so in May, and then also everything I'm excited for in the coming month, which is June of 2024. And I just want to say that the next couple of months for me are going to be quite interesting and sort of different in what I think I've usually done in terms of like what I tend to be watching on a regular basis. Because as you guys know, if you guys don't, the only airing dramas I watch are Korean because they're like 1 to 2 episodes a week, and that's how I get around to watching 8 or 9 dramas at a time, where I watch a bunch of the airing Korean dramas and then I watch maybe 1 or 2 completed dramas from other countries or a Korean drama. And so I'm not like overwhelmed with like the amount of episodes because I'm not a binger, as I've said multiple times. I can't watch one drama and watch all the episodes one after the other. That will make me bored. So I kind of jump around, watch 1 or 2 episodes here and there of certain things. And that way I feel like I can give a more honest opinion of what I'm watching and also not downrate something just because I'm bored, because I might like drop something. I'm always afraid that I'll get bored and then drop it and then maybe go back to it like years later and like wonder why I ever dropped it because I was like binging it versus doing 1 to 2 episodes. Once in a blue moon, I will binge something. It's just I have to really, really like it. But anyway, I looked at June and July of this coming year or this year. And usually I'm pretty good at knowing what airing Korean dramas are going to be coming out in June and July and like coming months. And in terms of June, there's really only one drama I'm interested in watching. The rest, either like I have no interest or they just are not a genre I'm really watch anymore, or maybe I don't know if I'll have access to it. And I tend to not have those dramas. If like it's a rumored drama where we don't even have a premiere date, I don't tend to talk about them. I want to make sure I pass along confirmed information. And then in July, it's pretty much the same thing. Like of the small number of dramas that I've seen so far that are coming out in July. Now that could change. We are a month away from July. There's not really any, if one, that I'm excited for July either. So again, that could change. But June, like, really only has 4 or 5 new Korean dramas, which I guess is good because we're getting a break. But due to the fact that there's not a lot of like upcoming Korean dramas for June that there's not a lot of to choose from when I talk about what I'm excited to watch. That being said, I really am only excited for one Korean drama in June, which means and all of the Korean dramas I'm currently watching end in June for the most part. So I'm going to have a lot of turnover in my watch list in June, but also not have a lot of airing Korean dramas to replace what I finish, which means I might have a very interesting watch list in the coming 2 or 3 months because it really depends on I kind of like how I come up with my watch list is I kind of shape it around how many airing Korean dramas I watch because I try to keep it at like 6 to 8 dramas at a time. Funny story, I once watched I was once watching like 17 dramas at one time and I was very overwhelmed. So I never want to be at that number ever again. So I kind of like cap myself at 10 at most, but I tend to keep it more towards 6 or 8, depending on how many airing dramas I'm watching. So it's interesting to see that, like, for the most part, there's only 1 or 2 Korean dramas that are coming out in the next couple months that I'm like, I'm going to watch that. I'm definitely interested. I'm going to watch it. So it'll be very interesting to see what else I will be watching around those 1 or 2 airing Korean dramas. Because again, I can't only watch like 1 or 2 dramas, especially if they're airing. If there's only 1 or 2 episodes to watch, I need to watch something else. As I said in my birthday episode, I'm a homebody. I go out, but like not a lot. So that means I watch a lot of TV. So I need to make sure that I'm like have a healthy amount of dramas I'm watching to keep my interest. So it'll be interesting just to see how my watch list comes out in at the end of the summer. Between it's summer and I'm going outside more, but also the fact that I'm not watching a lot of airing Korean dramas. That being said, though, I could be watching a lot of completed other dramas that I haven't watched and have been on my watch list. So we'll have to see. I also will say I'm interested in some shows that are not from Asia. So that will be interesting to talk about and watch too, because even though I primarily watch Asian dramas, there are a couple American shows I still watch and still keep up with. And they have all new seasons coming out. So that will be very interesting to talk about. So, the first part of my wrap up is the shows that I finished in the previous month, and we have a healthy mix of both country and genre from what I watched. It's always like I always am cautious when it comes to May because May is a very busy month for me in my life between my birthday, my family's birthdays, holidays. It's getting nicer outside. Like there is always because I'm so busy in May, I never really know if I'm going to be able to complete any dramas or watch a lot of dramas. But this May in 2024, I am pleasantly surprised that I finished a fair number of dramas and shows. I definitely did not watch as many, like complete as many dramas as I did in April. April, I think I completed like 12 dramas. And part of that is because that's just happened when all the airing dramas ended. I also dropped a couple of dramas, so that caused me to like not have to finish them in May because I dropped them. So that's also a thing where since I dropped the dramas, I don't have as many dramas to finish in the coming month because I dropped them in April or something like that. So we'll have to see. I also dropped some in May too. So there was a couple dramas I dropped in May that I would have finished in May if I actually stuck with them. So there was potential to watch more and to complete more, but due to circumstances, I didn't. But I still finished a fair amount in May. A majority of them were Korean dramas, which I think that's kind of historically what I mainly finish because again, as I said, I watch a lot of airing Korean dramas. But I was able to like squeeze in other countries, other shows that I normally don't watch. So it was a nice change, nice variety. You get to hear some opinions of other shows. I like to keep you guys on your toes once in a while, so we'll have to see. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about, and the one I most recently completed, is The 8 Show. This is a Korean drama on Netflix. I think I finished it like yesterday, and I know I've talked about this on my social media before, and I know I talked about it when I was like, "Oh, I'm excited for this one," which was last month's wrap up because since this is a Netflix drama, all the episodes came out at once. I was afraid this was going to be compared to Squid Game, and I myself also was going to probably at least compare it in my mind to Squid Game, even though I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I also heard or read an interview from the writer or creator of this drama that this was actually written or made or planned out before Squid Game came out, but due to scheduling conflicts or something, they didn't release it until now. So I don't know if that's actually true because he might not have just said it to like say it, I guess, but I th- that's an interesting thought. Like, if this had come out before Squid Game, would we be comparing it? Would it have? I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it or like talk about the 8 Show or watch the 8 Show. And maybe that's because they were afraid it was going to be compared to Squid Game, or maybe they were just like sick of the survival shows and no one wanted to watch this drama. I'm not really sure, but that's an interesting thought. Like, if this had come out before Squid Game, would more people be talking about it? Would more people be watching it? Because obviously they confirmed Squid Game's coming out in December. Yeah, I tried not to compare this. It's really hard not to. They're both survival Asian dramas, but there are differences, I will say. I said this on my social media. A big difference is a rule of the 8 Show is no one can die. Like, you lose if anybody dies. So, and then I'm not going to spoil anything. So, I'm not going to talk about what happened or if that actually was true or anything like that. But as we know, in Squid Game, like, that was the opposite. The point is people were going to die in Squid Game because there's only one winner. In the 8 Show, people sort of had to work together in order to stay there as long as possible to earn money because time added to the money pit or money pool, I guess. It I gave this, and I don't know if I have said this before, but I'm going to start doing like my ratings, and then I'll repeat the ratings at the end of when I talk about it. So I rated this an 8.5 out of 10. I looked back on MDL and I gave Squid Game a 9 out of 10. So I think I still liked Squid Game more, maybe due to the hype, maybe due to the other, like, everybody who was watching it together. But I'll explain why some of the things I disliked about the 8 Show. So, other than everybody not being able to die in the 8 Show, another difference in the 8 Show was it had some comedy in it, whereas if I remember correctly, Squid Game really didn't have a lot of comedy. And the 8 Show had a lot of comedy in terms there was a lot of secondhand embarrassment, specifically with one character. And I do horribly when it comes to secondhand embarrassment. Like, I cringe at it. I hate secondhand embarrassment. So I did not like the multiple scenes of secondhand embarrassment we got with this particular character. Um, so that really downrated it for me. Like, it wasn't a comedy through and through, but this specific character added comedy to it where I don't really think, like, maybe once or twice it would have been fine, but it seemed to be a lot of comedy with this character, and I didn't particularly like that part. It did have a slow beginning, but I think that worked with the drama because the characters were slowly going crazy because the whole point of the show is there's 8 people. They are stuck in a room slash building and they have to basically entertain the viewers. And the longer they're in the room, the more money they earn. and they also have nothing in the room. So they have to buy stuff with the money they earn for like basic necessity stuff. And then they have a larger room they can go out to hang out. And in that room, that's the clock. And they do things and entertain people, or they like barter stuff, whatever, to add time to the clock. But then they can also use time to buy stuff to use in that big room. You can't bring anything out of their individual rooms that they buy with their money. They can't use it in the big room. So they have to buy it with the time. So it's like a strategic game in terms of like, can I afford this in my own room, or do I use time? Because the money they spend in their own room is like 10 times more expensive. So if like you buy a blanket out in the real world, the blanket might cost like $10, but in your individual room, it costs 10 times that. So there was a lot of strategy having to do with that and math and trying to figure out like where we want what. And some characters did that better than others. And that caused conflicts, but they had to survive and they had to get along to last in this room as long as possible and do stuff to add time to the clock. So I thought that was very interesting to see, because you got to see people's personalities come out, and just like Squid Game, you will hate some characters. Specifically two, in my mind. Like, you will absolutely hate them. But also the fact that it was driving me nuts on some of these characters, and also some choices that these characters were or were not making in terms of strategy or like a logical move in the game that I would make. I was invested in this game and like wondering how it was all going to play out. So that was a plus for the show, because I got so invested in it. Because no one could die, I liked that rule, but at the same time, that did not mean this drama was not violent. Like, as the drama went along, in the first couple, like 4 or 5 episodes, specifically like first half of the drama, it wasn't very violent. But as they got crazier and crazier and more, like, it became more of a psychological game, it got more violent. So just FYI, if you aren't into violence, you still will get violence, and it gets pretty violent in the second half, and it gets more nuts in the second half. It's like not only physical violence but psychological violence. It just basically took longer for the violence to show up, because the characters had to descend into madness and become desperate at some point. I also downrated it because, due to this being a psychological game, there was a lot of tension in this drama, which made me uncomfortable, because you knew something was going to explode at some point, because somebody was going to go over the edge. You just didn't know who, you didn't know what, you didn't know when. So it was tension filled, to say the least. Overall, I still liked the 8 show. Like, if you liked Squid Game, I would still recommend this, because it's like Squid Game but not. It's different enough where it does stand out, in my opinion, but I think Squid Game has just overshadowed the genre in general. Same with like Alice in Borderland. For me, Alice in Borderland is better than Squid Game, and that's a Japanese drama. It came around the same time as Squid Game, but no one really has watched it because Squid Game became so popular. I think this would be the same thing. It would have been overshadowed by Squid Game if it was released at the time that Squid Game was released. So I'm glad it came out a little later and before the second season came out. But I'd say if you like Squid Game, you should give this one a shot, because it was still entertaining. It was still that type of tension and competition you love. You still hated some characters. It's only 8 episodes. The acting was phenomenal. Specifically, I'm not going to remember her name, but the main girl from Atypical Family, she's in this drama and she's wonderful in this drama. It's a completely different character for her, and she's drives you nuts, but she's wonderful. Her acting is great. So if you want to see another side of her than Atypical Family, I would definitely recommend this drama. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk about is a Chinese drama that I finished called Love of Replica. It is on Viki. If I didn't say the 8 show, I rated it at 8.5 out of 10. You can watch it on Netflix. Love of Replica is a. Can I talk today? Love of Replica is a Chinese drama. It's on Viki. I mainly watched this drama because the leads who were in this drama did a drama called Mysterious Love, which is a solid Chinese drama. It's not the greatest you will ever see, but it's not the worst Chinese drama you will ever see either. What I loved about Mysterious Love is the lead's chemistry. The lead's chemistry was so good in Mysterious Love. So when I saw Love of Replica, I was like, oh, it's the same two people. I loved their chemistry. Let's check Love of Replica out. And also, Love of Replica was marketed as a Mysterious Love Season 2. Turns out, Love of Replica just did not make the cut. First off, I was comparing it to Mysterious Love the entire time. It's a completely different show. It's not like there's not the same characters, not the same setup, nothing. So, like, it really shouldn't have comparison. Also, the chemistry just for some reason was not the same. I just was not as explosive and tantalizing as Mysterious Love. The lead still did a good job, but there was something about Mysterious Love's chemistry that just was not working in the Love of Replica. I actually did not like either one of the romances in Love of Replica. I would rather recommend Mysterious Love and go watch that because it had better chemistry. Both dramas are over the top and don't have the biggest budget ever, but Mysterious Love has the better chemistry in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on Love of Replica. I also watched Love of Replica because I wanted a bodyguard romance due to Blood Free, and we didn't get a romance in Blood Free, even though they had amazing chemistry. And I'll talk about that a little later, but I started Love of Replica because it was a bodyguard romance. And we did get that. There was a romance between a bodyguard and a singer. It's just the chemistry wasn't the best. Mysterious Love had better chemistry. So I would recommend Mysterious Love over this one. Has better chemistry. It's still kind of the same stick where like it's over the top, not everything makes sense, not everything is believable, but it's a fun, solid Chinese drama. So that's Love of Replica, Chinese drama. You can watch it on Viki. I rated it a 7 out of 10. All right, so since I mentioned Blood Free, let's go down to Blood Free. Blood Free is a Korean drama. It's on Hulu. I enjoyed this drama. I thought it was unique, but it wasn't perfect. I will say that. As I mentioned, the chemistry of the leads was the highlight of this drama for me. It was so good. It was like this was one of the few times I wish there was romance in a drama, which doesn't happen to me often. Two leads were just so good. And the K3 actually shared like an interview where somebody asked Han Hyo Jo like if there was supposed to be romance and like the writer took it out or something, or like was that written in? And she's like, I think we just have good chemistry working together and we just unconsciously did it. Like it wasn't written into the script. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I think we unconsciously just have really good chemistry together. And I'm like, put these two people in a romance, please, or make a season 2 and put romance in it, please. So yeah, to clarify, Blood Free has no romance in it whatsoever. So if you are looking for a drama that's sci-fi, action-filled, no romance, you will love Blood Free. If you need romance in your drama, Blood Free is not it. It will have amazing chemistry and you'll want romance the entire time, but it's not it. For some things I think the drama could have done better at. The motives of the villains were just not defined well. I didn't quite understand all of the motives, and if I did understand the motive, I thought the motive was pretty weak. And there's also multiple villains. So there's like multiple villains who each have their own individual motives for this. And because there were multiple villains, it wasn't really defined very well. It could have been defined a lot better, in my opinion. Also, the pacing of the last episode was off. Like it felt like I was watching a completely different show in the last episode. Also, it didn't like. Okay, I'm not gonna say. It ended on a cliffhanger. I'm just gonna say it. It ended on a cliffhanger. I need more. It definitely needs a season 2. I need to know what happens next. I need romance in season 2 due to the chemistry. It ended on a cliffhanger. That's all you can say. And there's two different ways to interpret the ending too, in terms of the cliffhanger. There's one way, and then there's another way. There was a lot of discourse on like how people interpreted that endings. I still think it's a solid sci-fi K drama though. Like we don't get very many sci-fi dramas in Asian drama land. We don't get very good sci-fi dramas in Asian drama land. If you like sci-fi, I would say give this a shot. Just I need to clarify this right now. It ends on a cliffhanger. Like if you are not that type of drama watcher, you won't like the ending because it ends on a cliffhanger. It needs a season 2, and I hope we get a season 2. So that was Blood Free. I rated it an 8.5 out of 10. You can watch it on Hulu if you're in the US, and I think it's on Disney Plus if you're not. Still a very solid sci-fi drama. Okay, so the next drama I finished in May was Stranger Season 2. This is a Korean drama. It's on Netflix. I watched season 1 last month in April. As I was watching this for a podcast episode, and these were rewatches for me. I've now rewatched season 1 4 times, I think, and maybe 3 times. And this is my first rewatch of season 2. I'm very biased when it comes to the Stranger series. I love the Stranger series. It's one of my favorite Korean dramas of all time. As I said in my season 1 remarks and also podcasts or whatever, I like season 1 more than season 2, even though season 2 is still good in my opinion. It just doesn't live up to season 1. But I will say, since I rewatched season 2 for the first time last month, I grew to like it more because I've paid attention to things I didn't notice in the first time I watched it. So I appreciate season 2 more. I'm so excited for the spinoff that supposedly is coming out in this year, hopefully. So excited. Again, though, I'm really biased to this drama. I really have nothing negative to say about either season, and that's because I'm biased. It's one of my favorites for a reason. It's still one of my favorites. I love the main duo. I love watching the bad guys going down in flames. If you like crime dramas, if you like a complicated, need to pay attention to crime drama, you should watch Stranger, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Like, you really need to watch this show. But again, you do need to pay close attention. I will tell you that right now. It is not one of those dramas you can just turn on and go clean dishes or something. So that was Stranger Season 2. I gave this a 9.5 out of 10. I think I upped my rating due to the rewatch. I think I originally gave it a 9, I want to say. But yeah, I really enjoyed my rewatch. Okay, so next one I'm going to mention that I watched in May or completed in May is Hide. It's a Korean drama. It's on Viki. If you're a fan of thriller Asian dramas, I think this is a solid one. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it's solid. It's a good thriller Korean drama. I think it kind of fell apart in the end a little bit, but there were a lot of satisfying twists and turns. The chemistry between the cast was great. The acting was great. You will definitely hate some characters a lot. I wanted more from the ending though. Like it was satisfying, but I wish they had extended it a little bit so I could see like the aftermath and like maybe like do a fast forward of 5 months or 6 months and seeing and showing how the characters are doing after 5 or 6 months. Specifically with one character, like they had been promoting that he wanted to like meet somebody, and then at the end they were like the character said, I'm going to see this person next week or something. And then we never saw him meet this character. So they had been talking about this meeting for 16 episodes, and then we never saw that meeting. So that was that kind of thing. It was nothing like I needed to see this person die in jail or something like that. Like it was more of like the wholesome, I need to see the characters I like living a happy life after all the sorrow they were put through in 16 episodes. I also had some unanswered questions by the time the drama ended, but overall, great acting. It's definitely one of those stories that you will be watching at the edge of your seat and trying to guess everything. Still entertaining. Emphasis on the great acting because it's very good acting. So this is Hyde Korean drama Vicky. I rated it an 8 out of 10. Okay, so another Korean drama I finished is The Midnight Studio. It's also on Viki. I know a lot of people did not watch this drama because of the viral script reading video that people were like, oh my god, they're even making the actors cry, so I'm not going to watch it. I will say this right now, and I'm an easy crier. Like, I will watch it, like, cry at anything, but you will sob at this drama. I cried so many times. So the script reading video was not lying. You will cry a lot. But in my opinion, this is a solid ghost romance, but I've also seen better Korean ones. It's not bad. It's just comparatively to other ghost Korean romances, I have watched better ones, but this is a solid one to watch. It's not a bad drama. The main couple's chemistry was good at times, and the acting was great. But other times their chemistry just like wasn't clicking or like didn't show up, so it was very inconsistent. The second couple was cute, but I did not like their ending at all. Like, it didn't make sense logically. Actually felt sad because like the setup of the ending just was just a sad ending. Like, it didn't make sense on why they did that. So I didn't like the second couple's ending and their romance. It just made no sense. But the acting was good. It was a highlight for me. I loved the two leads. I mean, I love the cast in general. The casts are good actors in general. Loved the OSTs. The OSTs are beautiful. And as I've said with many ghost stories, like many ghost dramas, the ghost stories and like finding them out as the main leads unravel the stories and like learning about the backstories are just always so nice and so beautiful, even though I cry my eyes out all the time. So that's the same case in the Midnight Studio, along with like the leads backgrounds and the ghosts that help around in this Midnight Studio. All of their backgrounds were really interesting to find out, and again made me cry. But there are also better ghost romances out there. If you want some recommendations, you can always DM me. I will let you know. So that was the Midnight Studio Korean drama on Viki, and I rated that an 8 out of 10. Okay, so two more shows that I finished in May. One show, so I was home a lot in May, and my parents watch a lot of British TV, which is hilarious because growing up, I watched a lot of British TV. And my father even told me that I should have been born in Britain because I watched a lot of British TV. But they have gotten into watching a lot of British TV, specifically like a lot of crime British TV. So while I was home, I watched an entire show because I was home for 2 or 3 consecutive weeks on and off. And usually with like British television, they're usually like 3 to 6 episodes, an hour, hour and a half long, depending on how it's cut. Usually if they're brought over to the US on streaming sites, it's hour and a half episodes, but maybe when they're like airing in Britain, it's like 45 minutes. I'm not really sure. But usually they're an hour, hour and a half episodes, and they're quite short seasons, like 3 to 6 episodes. So I watched Prime Suspect Tennyson. It's on Amazon Prime. The whole reason why my parents and I watched this drama is because we loved the old British TV series The Prime Suspect, which stars Helen Mirren, and it ran from like mid 90s to mid 2000s, and we watched every single season. I think it's like 7 to 9 seasons, I can't remember. And this is like a prequel. Tennyson is the name of Helen Mirren's character in Prime Suspect. So this is Prime Suspect Tennyson goes back to when she first was a cop and kind of took us through her first case and her starting out as a cop. It was 6 episodes, And I want to say they were like hour and a half episodes. And as I said, we were big fans of the original, so we're really curious about this prequel and to see if like it lived up to that. In my opinion, it didn't. Like, it didn't live up to that, but it was still a decent series. I don't think it only got one season. It was canceled after one season. I think if it had multiple seasons to bring some depth to the character and kind of go beyond the first case and beyond the first initial all the characters meeting and working together and like was able to build those relationships, I think I would have enjoyed it more because a lot of these characters are in the original Prime Suspect series. So, like, you recognize names and you recognize, like, references that are made. I think the other thing is, like, it's about her first case, her first day. So, what was good about it, because it takes place in like the 70s, is you saw some of the prejudices when it comes to women in the 70s in a male dominated workplace, not getting married right away, going for a career. So, you saw like her family input on her career choice as well as how she was discriminated against in this working environment. So I thought that was good because you saw that in Prime Suspect as too, but like Prime Suspect, she was a seasoned detective. Like she had the respect of her coworkers, even though she was a woman and still faced that. This was the other way around, where she wasn't seasoned at all. And you didn't have that grit from Prime Suspect, which I loved Helen Mirren doing. She was really like a deer in headlights a lot of the time. So I think that was sort of the downfall is I was expecting the grit, and obviously you wouldn't get that of somebody who is new to the police force. It was still fun to revisit the characters and see what they were like, and the crime, it was like one crime case through the 6 episodes, so that was interesting to see how everything was connected. But I think I have a bias towards Prime Suspect, so this just didn't live up to Prime Suspect. So that was Prime Suspect Tennyson. It's a British show. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It has a rating of 7 out of 10 from me. And then the last thing I watched in May was, if I butcher this, I'm sorry. It's an Indian drama called Hiramandi on Netflix. I had been watching trailers of this drama for months on social media. So I was really happy that it finally premiered. I recognize, as I said in other podcast episodes, I was an avid Hindi drama watcher in college, so I recognize some of these actors and actresses. They're quite famous. If you are into Asian dramas that are centered around women or just like enjoy watching women, like dramas about powerful women in it, you should give it a shot. It has beautiful sets and costumes due to the time period it's in. It was set in like the 1930s where Britain still has control over India. Or at least still has a presence in India and a lot of influence. So you got the historical backdrop of these women dealing with British people, but also dealing with the hierarchy of their own society. And I found that quite interesting. I love time period stuff like this. It added to the beautiful sets and costumes because it was from the 1930s. I really did not care for the main romance though. Like it could have not been in the drama and I would have loved this drama, but it really brought down my rating for it. I've even been told by other people my rating of 8 out of 10 was nice, which I am now sort of agreeing with. The romance did not add anything to it at all. Like it wasn't needed. It really was not needed. It didn't add anything to the story. And then yeah, the romance it just was not needed at all. I cared more about the women. I cared more about their relationships with both themselves in this house, as well as the people they interacted with outside of the house and the politics with that. I cared more about the rivalries between these women and the hierarchy within the household. I wanted to know more about that kind of stuff. I loved the dance sequences and the singing. It was very pretty. The sets, the costumes were nice. Romance just was not needed at all. Like it just seemed like it was thrown in there because there wasn't really a romance. Like it was these women were courtesans, and lords, both Indian and British, would come into their house and watch their performances and be their benefactors, give them money, give them have them accompany them to other things, maybe hire them to perform for parties. It like that whole world and that whole political demographic and then thrown in the historical significance of what was going on in India and them starting the independence movement against Britain in the same drama. Like there was so much going on already, and then you throw on top a romance. It was not needed. Like there was so much more interesting stuff. The romance just was not needed, in my opinion. And that was really the major thing that brought it down to even an 8. I probably was nice with the rating, honestly. But if you like powerful women, if you like rivalries, if you like great acting, I thought the acting was nice. If you like the costumes, if you want something a little different, I would say still check it out. Just be aware that the romance is not the best ever, and you don't need to watch this drama for a romance. It's not needed. All right, so that is everything that I finished in May. So now let's quickly go through the 2 dramas that I dropped in May. So the first drama I dropped was Nothing Uncovered. It's a Korean drama. I was watching this on Viki. I got behind on it due to me being a little busy in May, and I got spoiled on the ending, and I really did not like that ending. I did not like how it played out. I was very biased with one male lead versus the other, and when I saw that like the other male lead kind of got a happy ending, I was just like, no, he doesn't deserve that happy ending in my opinion. And maybe that's because I was really biased towards the cop, but I just did not like that ending whatsoever. I also really disliked the female lead. It's just they marketed her as like a strong woman reporter type, and she really just wasn't that, in my opinion. The writers did her dirty, in my opinion, on that. So I dropped it I think I got to like episode 7 or something, and I just dropped it. I was like, I don't want to put in the work and watch this knowing that I won't get a satisfying ending. The other one is I just found like I fell really far behind, and I was like 10 episodes behind or something, and I just did not care to catch up. And that was the Escape of the Seven Resurrection. This is Escape of the Seven season 2. Really, the only reason I was watching season 2 was because I watched season 1, and I really only cared about like 1 or 2 characters out of the 10 that were in the drama. And I just was like, I have 10 episodes of this drama to watch in order to finish it, and I really don't care to finish it. So I dropped it. And so those were the 2 that I dropped in May. So now to what I'm looking forward to in June. As I said, it has been a long time since I've only been interested in like 1 or 2 on-air dramas in the upcoming month. So this section might be a little short. I'm excited though, because like this means I can finish the stuff that are on my current watch list that I'm kind of behind on or whatever. But also means I can take some dramas, some completed drama off my plan to watch list that I have been on there forever and actually watch them. So hopefully this means I can like watch some completed dramas that a lot of people like and want to hear my thoughts on them, and then do more review episodes for the podcast or the blog. So if you have any dramas you want me to review that you think I would like, please DM me, please let me know, and maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll be watching all Chinese dramas in June and July. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But I'm kind of excited for it because I always like, as I said, I made this podcast, I made this blog because I like more than just Korean dramas, and I like talking about other things I watch. To have this opportunity to watch other dramas that are not Korean dramas, I'm always excited for that type of thing. I'm still looking forward to some dramas and some shows in June, though, so let's talk about that. The only Korean drama I'm excited for in June, as of right now, due to what we know, is The Player Season 2. It will be on Viki. It premieres June 3rd. I, first off, was very, very excited when they announced Season 2 of this. I never thought they would get a Season 2 for The Player. Player is a really fun drama. Sadly, I cannot find Season 1 anywhere. Except for like illegal sites and stuff like that. So I wanted to rewatch season 1 because I want to say like season 1 aired 4 years ago, maybe more than that. I'm gonna check that really quick because it has to be 2020 or before that. I want to say. Let's see. So season 2. Yeah, The Player aired in 2018. It is 6 years old, and we are getting a season 2 now. I never thought we'd get a season 2. So yeah, so I watched this back in 2018. I wish I could rewatch season 1 because I remember parts of it, but not like the entire thing. But sadly, I don't think I'll be able to rewatch season 1 before season 2 starts because, again, it starts on June 3rd. I'm excited to revisit these characters. I'm excited to see what shenanigans they get into this season because in season 1, it was a mix between crime and comedy. You had like a group of people who came together against a common enemy, and they all had different like skills that they could contribute to this thing. Basically, it was like the big guy was a fighter, you had a hacker, you had a driver, you had a con man, and they were all like, they got together against corruption and against like going against the bad guy. And they used these skills for the better good, kind of like a Robin Hood type thing. And now we're getting a season 2. And some of the same characters are coming back. There's 3 of them, I think, that are new or that are recurring. And then one person I think got recasted. I don't think it's the same. It's definitely not the same actress, but I think it's the same character. Which, let me double check that. Yeah, it's the same character, but it's a different actress. So in season 1, Crystal played the driver. And then in season 2, it will be... Is it the same person? Maybe it's not the same character, actually. They have the same first name. Did she get married or something? I don't know. I'll have to see. Now we have Jung-gu Ri, who's the driver, but due to MDL, they have a different name. So they might be a different character, or she might have gotten married or something. I don't know. They have the same first name, though, so I don't really know. Anyway, they added some new characters. They have some reoccurring characters that came back, so it'll be a mix of new and old. The trailers look like it will be that same type of fun crime stuff that we loved from season 1. I just hope it continues to have a good combo of the comedy and crime, because that's what I loved about season 1. Also, have a good found family, because in season 1, they had a really nice found family being built up and eventually happen. So I love that. It's my favorite trope of all time. So I'm just really excited for season 2 of this. So that will be The Player. It's on Viki. It will premiere June 3rd. Next up is Bridgerton. So background on this, I think I watched the first 2 seasons last year in 2023. If not 2023, it was 2022. I want to say it was 2023 though, because I watched season 1 and season 2 when season 2 was already out. So I want to say it was last year. But background of this is I basically went to a friend's house and she was like, "You have never seen Bridgerton?" And she made me watch season 1. And then immediately when I got home after visiting her, I watched season 2. So now I'm into Bridgerton. I'm well aware that the first 4 episodes are out now, but I decided to wait until June when the last 4 episodes came out to watch this entire season. So that is why this is in my June plan to watch. I also still need to watch the Queen Charlotte series. I have not gone and watched that yet, so I probably will watch that in June as well. So I technically have like 2 seasons of Bridgerton to watch in June. I'm still really surprised I watched Bridgerton at all and I actually like them. But at the same time, as I said, I grew up watching British TV and like that included like Jane Austen and all the adaptions, and I loved Jane Austen's. At the same time, I'm really not surprised I like Bridgerton. It seems like a show I should like. If anybody's curious, season 2 is my favorite. I just really liked Anthony and his romance. I'm really curious what I'm gonna think about Colin and Penelope, because I found both of them kind of annoying, at least in the first season. But I liked their friendship. So I hated the whole thing with Penelope and Eloise and their friendship falling apart in season 2. I did not like that part. So I'm really curious how they're gonna mend that in season 3, because I read apparently that never happened in the books, which I wish they never did that, but we'll see. I don't know. So yeah, I'm watching both Queen Charlotte and Bridgerton season 3 in June at some point. I'm really curious who season 4 is going to be about. All right, so next up is a Korean variety show. It's called Agents of Mystery. It will be on Netflix starting June 18th. I have a bunch of these types of variety shows on my plan to watch list where people like investigate crimes or like do puzzles to like work together and like solve stuff. There's this one from like 2 years ago or maybe a year ago, like something planned, that's also a Netflix one that I've been wanting to watch that they just renewed. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, Agents of Mystery is the newest one being added to this investigative puzzles. And because I have so many already on my plan to watch list, I'm just going to watch this one in June. I like Korean variety shows depending on the topic. I love a good investigative crime puzzle variety show because then I play along and I can try to solve it myself. A lot of times I don't succeed. And I also like learning like people's personalities when they're on these shows and seeing who's good at these types of games and really seeing like how the team works together once they learn like who's good at what. So it'll be interesting to watch this, and I hope it does well because I like some of the cast members in this, and they have a good mix of like pop idols, actors, actresses, like variety show stars. Like I feel like they have a good mix of people on this show, and I like a bunch of them. So it'll be interesting to see where I know the actor and actress from like their dramas, and I've never seen them do a variety show before, so it'll be interesting to learn another side of them. So that is Agents of Mystery. It will be on Netflix and it starts June 18th. And the last thing I'm very excited for, June is going to be the month of season 2s and season 3s apparently. And this is The Victims Game season 2. I don't know how many times I've mentioned season 1 of Victims Game on this podcast or other podcasts or this blog at this point. I never thought we'd see the light of day for season 2 because they promised us season 2 back in 2020 when season 1 aired. And then there was like no movement on it for years. And then this year we got movement and all of a sudden we got a premiere date. I've been waiting 4 years for this season 2 and we're finally getting it next month. I am so excited. I do plan to rewatch season 1 because it's been 4 years. I remember some of it, I don't remember all of it, so I do plan to rewatch season 1 before watching season 2 just to get a refresher. I'm really excited because this is one of my top Taiwanese dramas, one of my favorite crime dramas. I'm really excited to watch this. I'm just looking forward to revisiting the characters. It's really unique, especially when you have a character that has Asperger's, done well too. The poster also shows him in handcuffs, so like I'm super curious of like what that means. And looks like due to the poster, we have some reoccurring characters coming back. We have some new people coming back. I like the cast in the poster and on MDL. I'm really excited to go back into this world and learn more about the mystery that's happened and learn more about the relationships of these characters. Like, I'm just really excited. Who knows? I might be watching all Taiwanese dramas in June because there's a couple other crime ones on Netflix that I want to watch. So that was The Victim Games Season 2. It's a Taiwanese drama. It will air on Netflix June 21st. And that is everything I'm looking forward to in June, and everything that I finished in May, and everything I dropped in May. I honestly think this is like the lowest number of dramas I'm looking forward to in a while. Like, I'm sure I'll find other shows and dramas that I will pick up and watch, but I'm excited to do that. Like, as I said, I have a ton of Chinese dramas that I've been wanting to watch for years. And even new ones that I like that came out this year that I haven't even clicked play on. So we'll have to see what I check out. But I'm just excited it'll be a variety from a lot of different countries. Also, like, it's going to be June and July in Chicago. So we'll see what I like actually watch and what I complete, because it's nice out, you know? And I do plan to leave my apartment. And then also I have like anime, of course, I'm always watching, and then maybe I'll add another variety show. I don't know. But the point is, I'm getting a lot of variety in terms of shows, dramas, genres, different countries. So we'll see what my next current watch list episode is going to be like, because it will be fun. I'm like this. I really, really like when I have variety. Just because, too, it's like, I sometimes feel guilty when I watch when I'm watching all Korean dramas, because it's like there's so many other dramas out there that I want to watch. I mean, I answered the question in my birthday episode last week, like, do you ever get FOMO? Of course I get FOMO all the time. So when I can have variety and watch a lot of variety of countries and genres and dramas and movies and whatever, that lessens my FOMO a little bit, I guess. Also, shout out to everybody. Thank you for listening to my birthday episode. I know it was very different. I hope you had fun with it. I had fun making it. So, shout out to you guys. Thank you for all of the well wishes of my birthday episode and how you guys liked it so much. I'm really glad you guys liked it. So, shout out to you guys. Thank you again for listening to the podcast in general. And that is it. That is my wrap up episode for May. I promise you will get more podcast episodes in June. I of course, am still obviously busy, but it's not like I'm away from my podcast equipment for like weeks on end like I am in May. So thank you again for listening to another episode. I'm really excited just to be back to talk about dramas again. I hope to have some variety. In July, I have everything planned out for July. And if you don't know and you haven't read my blog, in July, when I do my blog and when I did my blog, that was like my halfway point of the year. So there's a lot of drama and podcast episodes of blog posts and podcast episodes of like my most anticipated dramas for the next half of the year, the ones I liked from the previous halves. July is going to be like the halfway point of 2024. So there'll be a lot of exciting stuff coming in July as well. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you next week. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under the username No Sleep for Dramas. That is No Sleep, the number 4, Dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.nosleep4dramas.com, the number 4dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.